The Netherlands has officially expanded euthanasia laws to include children under the age of 12 years old. This is setting an incredibly dangerous precedent for the rest of Europe and the West, a path that will almost certainly be followed by many Western countries. We have already seen most of Europe take up euthanasia, along with Canada, which that path was already led by the Netherlands, with them being the first one to actually allow for euthanasia to be legal. And now they're pushing for the age to drop even further. What their law already was way too young. At 12 years old, with parental consent, the child was allowed to kill themselves, essentially, with euthanasia or go through assisted suicide. Now they are dropping that minimum age to 1 years old. Does that sound crazy to anybody else other than me? It has to. There's no way we're all okay with this. 1 years old. This is setting us down this path that leads to a lot of very, very, very dark things. It's not something we want to see. Like right here, you see they are dropping the regulations to include children between the ages of 1 and 12. This is going to eventually lead to post-birth abortion, pretty much. What they're saying here is life just isn't valuable, no matter what age, no matter how mentally cognitive the child is, no matter what situation they're in, no matter if they can actually consent to anything or not. Their life just is not valued by society, and we are willing to throw it away. What this is eventually going to start allowing for is just kids to, no questions asked, go up and kill themselves, right? We see this with like transgender surgeries, for example. A lot of countries are already pushing for kids around like 13 to be able to go into clinics, no questions asked, go and get on these drugs to switch their gender. Now, that is something that was previously important in society, but people don't care about it anymore, right? Gender, a lot of people are like, oh, well, it doesn't matter, right? Same thing is happening to life now. The exact same thing. Before, life was considered incredibly precious, but as our society has become more and more fallen and people have started to care less and less, they have they've just thrown away all value of life and they allowed for people to start killing themselves. First, it started for just terminally ill people. And that's what they're starting with for these children. They're saying, look, this is only for terminally ill children who are suffering. Kids who are going to die, and look, we're just going to put them out of their misery. But that's what it started for with adults too. And then eventually, they weren't killing all that many people, and then they're like, hey, you know what? We should expand that to include mental illness. We saw it expanded in Canada and the Netherlands as well. You could see here that euthanasia, it accounts for 5% of the deaths in Netherlands, right? So that's already an incredibly high number of people that are just willing to get assisted suicide. And then even more disturbing in the Netherlands, psychological suffering and depression can justify euthanasia. If they think that psychological suffering and depression can justify euthanasia for adults, how long is it going to take for them to push that on 1 to 12-year-olds? How long is it going to be until they just say anybody with any form of psychological disorder or suffering, yeah, let's just kill them? This is a not good path to set down, right? We're dipping our toe in the water with this. We are pushing for these little kids to be able to kill themselves. Again, with adults, it started with just terminally ill. Terminally ill. They're doing the same thing with terminally ill children. And what did it lead to? People with some kind of psychological disorder. They were able to kill themselves. How long will it be until terminally ill children, not terminally ill children, how long is it going to be till children with psychological suffering are able to kill themselves just like with adults? I can't imagine it'll be more than 10 years. They're saying, oh, look, we have to do this because of unbearable suffering for the child. Right now, that means kids who are dying, they're on their deathbed. But in 5 years from now, that could just mean a kid who's getting bullied, getting picked on, a kid that is not desirable for society. That's their new form of eugenics. That's what this is. They are taking people who are undesirable and they are killing them. They're taking these people who they don't believe are bringing this value to society, and we are just killing them. And eventually, this is going to lead to little kids being killed. We see Canada is already going down this path. And what happens in Canada, the United States oftentimes follows. So what we're going to see is a track here. Netherlands expands euthanasia to include terminally ill children. Canada will then follow and expand euthanasia laws to include terminally ill children. And then eventually the Netherlands will get to a point where they say, hey, you know what? We'll expand it for kids with some kind of psychological disorder. And then Canada will do the same. And before you know it, America, as we oftentimes do, follow Canada's direction. We will be the ones expanding these euthanasia laws to children with a psychological disorder. Right now, we're not there yet, but that is the path we are going to lead down. It will eventually justify post birth abortion and little kids killing themselves. That is your world. That is a modern state of the Western world. I hope you liberals are happy. I hope all you feminists who fought for 50 years, I hope you're happy that this is a society you created. Yeah, you really brought down the patriarchy, but what else did you bring down? You brought down an entire civilization. The greatest civilization the world has ever seen. You have brought it down, your movement. This is thanks to the liberal movement of the 20th century, the 19th century, 17th century, 18th, I mean, excuse me, 18th century, French Revolution, that type of thing. So thank you. Thank you, liberals. Thank you, feminists. This is your world. And now we get to come in here, us young conservatives, we're going to come in here, we're going to save it, we're going to make this country great again. We are going to follow Donald Trump. We will make this country great again. So, boys, we're gonna take this country back. We see all this negative stuff going on, but you know what? We're high energy Zoomers. We're gonna make a change. You know it. I know it. We're really flowing right now. We're in this flow state. It's gonna be very epic, but we're gonna go through some hard times. So we have to recognize terrible stuff like this. Don't allow it to come to our country. Guard our country. Guard your minds. Guard your hearts. Don't allow any of this degeneracy, any of this wokeness, any form of liberalism, feminism poison your brain. And that is how we are going to take back this country, by shielding our hearts and our minds with the sword of God, and we will wreak havoc on those who have introduced all this evil into our world. But yeah, it's going to be very epic, so join the fight, which means, you know what? Like, subscribe, share the video. It's very epic. Only way we're going to take back this country is together. So yeah, we got to do this, so jump on the fight. We got this, boys. But I'm going to head out on that note. So if you enjoyed, like, subscribe, share the video. I already said all this. Now I'm just repeating myself. So before I keep going down this rabbit hole and continue to repeat myself, I'm going to head out. So long, peace out, and God bless y'all.